Welcome back. You're still watching the daily debate, and as I mentioned in the beginning that tonight we're going to be focusing on the situation in the Gaza Strip and the role of Egypt in mediating a truce or a ceasefire between Hamas and the Israeli occupation forces. And I'm honored to be having with me over the phone Dr. Ahmed Sharaf, the political analyst and the educational consultant. Dr. Ahmed, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the daily debate.
Giving me this opportunity to contribute to such important discussion and for having me on my TV. Thank you very much once again.
Anytime. Speaking of this discussion, how do you see what happened over the past 2 years in the Gaza Strip by the Israeli occupation forces in terms of the genocide war and the role of Egypt in mediating a possible truce or a permanent ceasefire between Hamas, the resistance fighters, and the Israeli occupation forces in the Gaza Strip for the benefit of the Palestinians and the region?
Well, I think, Ahmed, I think that Egypt is trying to play a critical, very crucial role when it comes to the way of handling such an incredibly disastrous situation for what's happening today. This is a crime against humanity, and Egypt is realizing that there is a dramatic change happening today, and it's trying, in a way or another, just to reinforce again the concept of peace and to restore stability and to reduce tensions for the sake of the Middle East interests at the end. Egypt has a broader vision of trying to contain the situation and diffusing any sorts of tensions. And I think that Egypt is just trying also to use the diplomatic ways with different countries, with the U.S., with European countries, because at the end, I would believe that Egypt is playing a central player in the Middle East, and especially for what's happening in Gaza today. Egypt is also considered as a strategic partner and a regional actor, very, very important actor. So we can just see, for example, the high-level visits and summits between Egyptian and European and American leaders and the Arab leaders as well, which underscores the importance both sides place on maintaining open channels for communication and finding a way out for the situation today. So back again, I would consider that this is a very critical moment, not just for the Middle East, but for the whole world. And I think that Egypt is just trying to use every diplomatic effort in this way in order to contain the situation and finding any solution for what's happening today in the Middle East.
Yes, and Doctor, how do you see the stance of Egypt and the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi ever since the genocide war began by the Israeli occupation forces against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, more specifically in the domain of the rejection of displacing Palestinians from the Gaza Strip into Egypt, into Jordan, as we did see a plan or a proposal by the United States and the American President Donald Trump that was clearly rejected by the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi?
You know, Ahmed, I think that Egypt always plays a critical and multifaceted role in Gaza, shaped by, let me just say, by diplomacy, by geography, by history, security interests, and historical ties. So I would focus on a very important concept here, which is Egyptian efforts in mediation in such conflict. Egypt has long acted as a key mediator between Palestinian factions and Israel. So it facilitates ceasefires and de-escalation talks. Egypt brokered multiple ceasefires in the past few months. And it also maintained open communication channels, often hosting negotiation delegations in Cairo. When it comes to the security and border control, for example, we can just see that Egypt also shares, sometimes it opens a discussion to allow a very, very important aid, which is humanitarian aid, that can be very beneficial for patients, students, and everyone. It's also trying to provide diplomatic support Egypt supports, as we know, the two-state solution and backs Palestinian statehood within 1967 borders. So it often also aligns with the Arab League and international efforts advocating the Palestinian rights. There is also something very important, which is the humanitarian role here. So Egypt has allowed the entry of humanitarian aid, including food, fuel, medical supplies, especially during Israeli blockades or wars, and at the same time evacuation of wounded Palestinians to Egyptian hospitals. There is also another important part here, which is the security concerns. Egypt is so much concerned about the spillover of militant activity from Gaza into different parts of the Middle East.
Yes.
So as a result, Egypt is just trying to keep something like a tight grip on border activity and maintain strict coordination with different neighboring countries. I would describe that Egypt is just trying to strike a balance by having regional diplomacy, for example, maintaining diplomatic efforts with the neighboring countries, domestic security, and at the same time working with the pan-Arab public opinion, and also having or putting some international expectations, particularly from the U.S. and EU as well, which is considering Egypt as a regional stabilizer. So all in all, I would describe that the efforts of the Egyptian role in Gaza, its multifaceted role. It is a gatekeeper, mediator, humanitarian partner, and security actor. Its policies are driven by both national interests, a long-standing regional responsibility towards the Palestinian cause. So this is probably the bottom line of the Egyptian efforts for what's happening today for the disastrous situation in Gaza.
Yes, Dr. Ahmed Sharaf, the political analyst and the educational consultant. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate, and I return once again to the